Good morning, guys. It is the 30th of May and we're looking at Euro US dollar. So, looking at the daily time frame, we can see a few supply zones. Let's mark these up. I can then drop down to the 4 hour. And I can see we initially have one push up, two pushes up, and we're looking for that third big push up before a drop. Nothing too clear yet. However, there is a potential order block waiting in here for us with liquidity lying down here. But we'd have to see that on a lower time frame. In terms of over here, we could consider this to be our order block wick as liquidity. So we do need to be careful of that. In terms of at the moment, I'm constantly looking for buys because I don't see any good sell structure. However, we are in a bit of a range. We had this sort of zone form. We formed an inducement. People would have thought, okay, I'm gonna take sells or buys off here. However, it was just an inducement, therefore it would be taken out as liquidity. Came back up, supply reacted, came back down, demand reacted, back up, broke structure. Nothing too clear. So in terms of the markup, this is still liquidity. In terms of potential trades, I'm kind of looking at this inside bar as a potential entry. I'm going to drop down to the 1 minute now to see what we can see. I'm just refining the zone. Okay, so we've had this break of structure in here. Quite clean. However, there's no obvious trade. There's just nothing really that's screaming trades to me. We are in a bit of a range. So in terms of potential trades on Euro US dollar, I'd have to see this high get taken out, maybe a reaction off of this kind of 4 hour zone before I looked into sells. But again, nothing too obvious. We do potentially have this zone in here as a 4 hour zone, so maybe we could consider that. And again, that's not a valid area for trades. But however, we need to be mindful that this is an inside bar, so although we have this zone here, we could come back down to feel some imbalance in this area. So I'll mark that up. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm looking at. In terms of potentially looking for an entry, I'd need to see a good reaction off of this zone. But on the 15 minute, currently the most obvious trade would be this zone over here as a area where there was a range and a breakout, and that is part of that area, so it is a refined order block. Another potential area I'm looking at is over here. So these are my main potential areas of demand. Reason being is because this area was reacting off of this area, and that move had formed, and this area reacted off of this area. So it is a demand chain, and I need to see that structure kind of set in. So I would like to see us come down, maybe react off of here, but if not, then push right down to here, play off of there. Let's look at pound dollar. This is looking slightly cleaner. So in terms of what I can see is it's essentially a bit cleaner than Euro US dollar. So on the daily, we're currently seeing potential break in structure. However, I need to see a body close above. So as long as the body of the candle closes above this area, then that would be considered a clean break of structure. Nothing too clear in terms of kind of potential entries on the daily, but of course on the daily you won't have many clear entries. So heading over to the 4 hour, what can we see? Wow, I can see some sort of liquidity grab over here. There's liquidity below these lows. So I'm looking at this area, potential demand zone. Reason being that's playing off of this demand over here. And then that's playing off of this demand over here. I don't know, potentially. Those are the main 4 hour zones I'm looking at. In terms of what we can see on our 4 hour, we can clearly see we are bullish. We are in a change of character. 4 hour change of characters are very strong. So it indicates that we are going to keep moving up, unless this order block has anything to do with it. So potentially, in terms of correlation between Euro US dollar and GBP US dollar, what I can see is that they both kind of have these small 4 hour order blocks. So we could potentially be seeing reactions off of this one and this one. So let's look back at the 15-minute. We have not approached 15-minute on this. See, so this was clearly just some sort of liquidity grab. It's quite unclear as to why it happened. Okay, so looking at this, we could consider it some sort of break of structure. It also took out this structure. However, I'm going to switch to a different chart to cross-check if that is, there we go, that isn't on every chart, so I'm going to move to this chart. Yeah, so that's a lot cleaner, guys. So again, on the daily, looking for that break of structure. 4 hour, we're looking at, this is a potential zone. Reacting off of that demand chain, and then we are also looking at, this is a potential zone. We are seeing a 4 hour break of structure. So my bias is on buying only. I need to see this high get taken out if I'm going to enter something around here, but I need to cross check on the 15-minute first. So in terms of potential entry, so what can we see? Let's just expand more recent structure. Like I said, nothing too clean, but we are seeing, you could consider this a 15-minute break of structure, but in my trading plan I need to see the full break of structure, which means I need to see this high get taken out for me to be sure that buys are valid. We have got this 15-minute liquidity wick in here which hasn't yet been tested. We do also have liquidity to be grabbed at these lows, and we have a potential order block over here. So usually with my order blocks and supply and demand zones, what I do is I mark up the first candle before the impulsive move. So it would be this green candle here. However, because this red one engulfs, it covers the range of this green one, and it's an inside bar, I'm also going to include that just in case. So, okay. So we could see us grab liquidity over here. I'd like to see on the 1 minute and 15 minutes some sort of change of character, some breaks of structure, and we could see some nice trades play out from there. If we just break through it, I'm just going to wait, see where the next order block forms, and I wouldn't want to put in an order block that is here, for example, due to the fact that we have liquidity over here, so prices are just break through that zone to grab liquidity, so it wouldn't be a fair area to enter. So what else could we potentially see? I could consider sells off of potentially some sort of area in here, but again we'll have to cross check that on the 15-minute. Potentially, not too clean, but potentially something along the lines of this would be an okay entry zone. However, you also have this, so you need to be careful at this point because that is a liquidity wick, so I wouldn't be entering unless we get to that liquidity wick. However, there is lots of structure here, here, so I would prefer to interrupt there, so I would just remove that zone just for simplicity purposes. Okay, so again, let's see what's happening right now. So yes, we have this liquidity here. Yes, we have this structural high here, which has a liquidity wick, which potentially has an order block in it. We've had a break of structure. We could potentially have liquidity in these highs. So what I'd like to see is a push up to grab liquidity, then drop back down to grab this liquidity over here. So should we get the valid confirmations on the 1 minute, it would look something along the lines of like this, possibly. It will be a nice risk to reward. It will probably be nicer than this because we are going to look for 1 minute confirmations. On the other hand, we do have the other hand, we do have this supply zone over here, which we're currently struggling at right now. So if I go to my 1 minute, that's the supply zone. On the 15-minute, we've come down, we've kind of broken structure. However, again, there wasn't a key demand in there, so can't seem to find. Okay, there we go. There wasn't a key demand zone in there to cause a flip, but we could consider that to be our zone. But then again, there's clean liquidity above these heights, so that could just get taken out. Yes, we're rejecting, we're breaking structure. We have seen a nice reaction, so this potentially could have been a trade. However, I want to wait for a higher trade further up. This would have been what you were looking at. Again, I want to wait for a higher trade up. I'm not going to claim to be in this trade because I would not have entered in this. Structure just isn't clear enough. Yes, we have that 15-minute zone in there, but again, we have just liquidity above here. We've just formed a new high. We're very bullish. I do want to wait for higher entries off of a better area potentially, so I'm going to wait for that. And if this was a very strong supply, what would have happened is it would have tapped in and we would see some sort of impulsive move downwards by now. But 1, 2, 3 minutes in, almost 3 minutes into the trade, 2.5 minutes into the trade, and we're struggling to drop. Potentially, I'll be looking to enter if this demand zone fails over here. But at the moment, nothing obvious for me. I think that sums up our call for today. We could just quickly check the US dollar index correlation. We are looking very, very bearish on the US dollar index. So again, it supports the fact that in this trade, I would be looking for that stop loss to be hit, which is exactly why I'm not in it. US dollar value goes down, GBP/USD value goes up. It's inversely correlated. That sums up our call for today. Thank you for joining.